You are part of history. You are part of that Black excellence. No longer about looking at, on the other side of the grass and realize that your grass is not just green, it's gold. Hey my little angels, welcome back to another fun episode of Zhan's Online Podcast. I'm your lovely host, Zhan BA, and I talk all things from my perspective, the way I see it. And this is this week's episode of Bedtime Talks with Zhan. This week, I want to specifically talk about Black excellence and how it thrives in godly community, and also how it's more in reach than what we think, not only as believers, but also as Black people within our generation. I feel like we compare ourselves to a lot of older generations and what Black excellence may look like. Sometimes we need to take a step back and realize how we are already stepping into our own Black history and our own Black excellence. This week was actually magnificent. I had a grand week, and there was a highlight of my week that I've been waiting to talk about for the longest on YouTube. Your girl was invited on another podcast show. Yay! Isn't that exciting? I did a segment, 2 segments actually, with my good friend Dominique. He is the host of Therapeutic Talks podcast, and of course, I'll make sure to link his show below. Just to see him grow and him to follow his dreams, such as I'm following my dreams, was such a blessing to see in 4K. To be able to collaborate with other Black creators was something that was just a different level of motivation that I really truly needed, and I'm so glad and thankful that I was able to be a part of that. All in all, I had a good time, and stay tuned for the vlog. The vlog will be coming out, but a little surprise for my viewers on YouTube. And if you're listening to any other podcasting platforms, now is your time to check out Zhan's Online on YouTube, because your girl is starting a new YouTube channel. Yes, I will also link that down below, and you can watch the process from start to where it's going to grow of Zhan's Online vlogs. Now, if you're watching on YouTube now, you see that I have other vlogs, previous vlogs of me traveling, because your girl loves to travel. Your girl does not like to sit down. I love to experience other things, but I feel like my channel will be able to reach higher heights if I divide and conquer. You feel me? So I will be starting a new YouTube channel. It's already up, but it's under construction, so it doesn't have all the glitz and glam as this page does, but it will soon. So I'm not going to say a date yet, just in case I can't follow through, but mentally and with God, he's trying to keep me disciplined so I can follow through on this date. But really soon, like very soon, I will be uploading my first vlog on the new channel. So I'll link it down below, and make sure y'all go click and subscribe and help your girl so y'all can stay tuned, because I know y'all love the way that I talk and the way that I see things through my voice, but also I know that you would love the way I see things through my eyeline, literally what I see when I travel, when I experience different cultures and I experience different things. So make sure you click the link below and subscribe. Speaking of my trip to Dominique's show with my other fellow content creators that I know, I just thought it was timely to talk about Black excellence this week. I already had it pre-planned that I wanted to talk about the benefits of, building a community, not just obviously of believers, but also of people who are like-minded in the purpose that you have for your life. So clearly me, I do believe, I say it all the time on the show, that my purpose is to speak, to reach to you all, to develop a community, but right now, specifically through content creation. Thankfully, God has blessed me with more other creators who are also trying to do the same thing and be a part of that same type of light. And when I go and create with people, when I go and create with other Black people, talk about motivation, talk about purpose, and it just makes me feel good that it's just like, yes, we're creators, and we're trying to figure it out together, even though we may not know how to reach those higher heights, or we may not know exactly how we're going to get there, but we know that God has given us a vision, a purpose, and we're trying to execute it. So when I went on Dominique's show, I was like, wow, this is dope. I love to be a part of his goal, his journey, and also get to spread more word about God, and also talk about my own show to get more little angels, because we're building a bigger and better community of people who can be heard, understood, and seen by the one and only God. I do think that surrounding yourself with other people, obviously other believers who are like-minded and on the same sound doctrine as what you believe, but as far as leading unto your purpose or leading unto things that you are trying to accomplish or achieve, it makes things easier. It makes the job more fun, honestly, because even when I think about like when I was in school, if you don't know, went to school for journalism, communications, whatever, yada, yada, yada. And the way those people were so passionate about writing, they were talking about being on the news and having their, their political voice or their professional, their news voice, I should say. We're coming to you live, all these other things. They were so passionate about it. It made you want to dig deeper. Even though obviously I was one of those people who were passionate about it, just in a different route, it made me want to strive for better. And I feel like that is something that I've experienced with my level, my version of Black excellence, even within my own tight-knit community. And I love it so much. And it's so powerful and it's so encouraging because there's a group of people, group of young men and women who are trying to come together and support each other to reach higher heights, because we see the times have changed. We see that there are different things going on in the world, but we still want to dig deeper and reach out to people through content creation, through film, through my Damo's creating a documentary. It's coming to you soon, y'all. I'm gonna also link her down below, and make sure you check out her. She has a YouTube, but she also has an Instagram, and her documentary is coming on the way, and it's called What They Don't See. And I'm very intrigued and very excited for this project to be completed, only because just in the title itself, like what they don't see, there's so many things that people don't talk about as far as mental health and, the struggles, the personal, private struggles that we have and how we can overcome that and conquer it. And I'm telling you, it's going to be good. Having different people who see the vision, maybe it's not your vision, but they see a vision that God has given them themselves, and they're trying to achieve that alone is going to motivate you to be like, okay, let me get back on my square. Let me work harder to reach those higher heights. Let me work harder to be a better me, not just in my content, but just me in general. I feel like that is the epitome of Black excellence. Okay, I feel like a lot of the times we see people at brunches, a lot of business people, a lot of business, Black business people sitting at brunches in their suits and ties and all of these things. And yes, that is excellent. They look professional. They look nice. They're making money. They're making business moves. But let's not belittle the business moves that you and I are making. Even if you're not Black, you Mark, we mess with you too, bro. Even if you're not, if you're of any other ethnicity, it's still remaining on the same note of community and building like-minded individuals. But obviously, if you're Black, it's even more powerful when we come together because of the things that we have to overcome on a constant basis. But when we see all these other celebrities even, and we be like, oh yeah, that's Black excellence. Like, just to take an example, this is a terrible example, but Jay-Z and Beyonce, I don't know why that's the first thing that came up to my mind, but just hear me. A lot of people may look up to them and be like, that's Black excellence. They have all the glitz and glam. They're business savvy, and they just got it going on. Obviously, not everyone's going to be Beyonce and Jay-Z, whether you would want to or not. But I feel like it's important to take a step back and look into the mirror and also recognize the good that you do and the excellence that you may have in certain categories. You are powerful. You are doing things. You are making efforts, whether you're in school, whether you just finished school, whether you decided to go into a trade, whether you decide to follow your entrepreneurship dreams. You are falling into Black excellence because you are perfecting your craft. You are trying to refine the things that you believe is your purpose to be. So when you realize that, then you realize that you are part of history. You are part of that Black excellence. So it's no longer about looking at whatever celebrities. It's no longer about looking at, on the other side of the grass and realize that your grass is not just green, it's gold, because you are already that. You are already what you strive to be. And let's talk about how we can reach even more when we tie God into that. So for me, one thing that I've noticed, maybe it's because I myself have been coming closer to God and developing a stronger relationship with him, that I've witnessed a lot of other young adults coming closer to God. And I'm just like, I love that. Like, look at us go. We're really turning over a new leaf, which also may make you remember that, the end times are near. People are locking in and you need to get locked in too, or you going to get left. But that's a whole nother conversation for another day. we bless God. It's refreshing because not only does it make you not feel alone, but to see more than just your community of other Black believers who are young in their early 20s, late 20s, early 30s, who are on fire for God, and not only just posting about it, but acting it out in real time. And they're trying to live a Christ-like life. And it's motivating to see that, because it's like, wow, you're not alone. Because as much as God was working on you in your life, don't think he was just doing it for you. He was also doing it for Sally, Sue, and John across the way, because they also have a calling on their life, just like you do, And I feel like now that more people are recognizing the good that we have, the good that we can do, we're to talk about a movement, talk about the power that we will have, that God will give us because of us being obedient unto his word. We're following his purpose that he has for us individually, and we're supporting each other along the way. It's one thing to have, community because we're Black, and there's societal things that want to oppress us, or there's different issues that you may go through your life that wants to push you down, press you down, and tell you that you're not going to be good enough, that you're not going to be powerful enough, that you're not going to be able to be that entrepreneur, that you're not going to be able to impact other people. But God says that you can. God says that you will uplift other people. God says we have the powers within him to reach higher heights, that we have the powers within community, that we don't have to do it alone, that we don't have to rely solely on our strength, but we can rely onto him and build up that community and flow and follow into Black excellence. Because another thing is, especially within the Black community, we don't hold each other accountable sometimes. Most of the time we don't, especially when we're wrong, because we be saying some outlandish stuff. We be kind of look crazy sometimes, and we don't be holding ourselves accountable, especially when we're too hard on ourselves. From Black women to my fellow Black women, sometimes we don't show enough grace. Sometimes we're not supportive enough because we're so used to that toxic trait of hyper independency, that we have to live life a certain way, move a certain way, carry all these weights upon our shoulders. But we don't. We can cast our cares onto God, and also understand that we're living in pride when we feel like we have to carry all these things, all these weights. Same with Black men in general, like from a Black woman to a Black man. I know I have been faulty in some areas, and Lord forgive me for being too harsh on a man, or expecting too much, or not even just not being in a place of understanding how a man should be, or even being submissive and understanding that a man should be leading and everything. And just the whole dynamic of Black men in America versus Black women in America, and how those dynamics aren't as supportive. And that's another highlighted point that I want to make today, that Black excellence is not picking on someone, that's not belittling someone, that it's not bringing them down, because God in general does not want us to bring each other down, but he wants us to lift each other up with our words of affirmation at all times. Things that come out of your mouth should only edify, bring people up and edify the word of God. And it's like, if you're not doing that, you're not following into Black excellence. If you're Black and you're in the community, you just know that there's sometimes we fall short and we don't support each other as enough as we should. I'm sure I've been guilty of it a plethora of times. But again, I just really want to highlight just uplifting people, because I'm in a community, I'm in friend groups, and I'm meeting people who really want to support me, who really want to be there for me, and be there and watch me build these things from the ground up, and support me through the whole entire journey. And those friendships are important, because God is shining. God is using you as an angel. He's using you to help with the flow of my vision, the flow of your vision. He's using different people to give us more grace along the journey, and I feel like it's not a coincidence that these people are God-fearing individuals. And I don't think it's a coincidence that we all have similar interests as far as supporting each other as Black creators. I think that is so important to uplift the creativity of Black people. You know what I'm saying? We have so much in our minds that we just want to get out. And I feel like it's such a beautiful thing to witness that, not only to be a part of that, but to be someone who does that and spreads it across people. Being around people who are going to hold you accountable but not bring you down are two different things. Like, there's some people who be like, oh, I'm just going to hold you accountable, but they're also a poopy head at the same time. Like, they think that they're being helpful, but really they're being counterproductive. Like, you ever be around someone who thinks that they're giving you words of wisdom, but really they're being negative Nancy's. Or they may think that they're a know-it-all. So they try to project really what the Lord is dealing with them. They try to project it onto you. And I feel like that happens a lot within the Black community because we have so high standards for one another, but yet we still don't give each other enough grace. And that's why I feel like we should stop comparing ourselves to things that we see online or see on TV or see with these celebrities and focus on what we're doing within our own communities, because it starts at home first. It starts in your direct community first. Everyone wants to get rich and leave their hometown. Me as well. I'm definitely one of those people, but it's also important to recognize real. I would not be at the place that I'm at now if I didn't meet some of the people that I've met. I honestly wouldn't have even started. Well, I'm not going to say I wouldn't have, but I wouldn't have started my podcast when I did if I didn't meet other podcast creators who were pushing themselves to finish their work. And it pushed me to motivate me to be like, okay, actually, I may not have the space that I want, but I'm going to make it work. And hence, we bless God. And you know what I'm saying? I done made it work, period. It's just a little cherry on top because we Black, you feel me? But the real community is that, like, obviously because we're all God-fearing people and we know where our strength comes from and we know how to achieve those higher heights, even though it may be extremely hard. Finances may be rough, or living situations may not be the best, but we have hope in God. We have faith in God. We have faith in each other, and we uplift each other and we motivate each other. And that, again, my friends, my people, my little angels, is Black excellence. We do have to work 10 times harder in a lot of these fields. And that's why we have to recognize real when we are working 10 times harder and we're doing a lot and we're, perfecting our craft and doing a lot of self-taught work. Hello, somebody. I don't know about you, but yes, I went to school for communications, but it was only so much that I've learned from school. A lot of the things that I do on the show is self-taught, and it's grace from God. We're so hard on ourselves because we have to work 10 times harder to be seen in a lot of these fields and a lot of these spaces where our color, our ethnicity, whatever it may be, it may not be welcomed or there may just not be a lot of examples of that. So even building those communities and keeping God centered, talk about a powerhouse of possibilities. Talk about the different levels that you will achieve, that you will reach when you sincerely keep God in the center of your own personal relationship. But if you have a God-fearing community of people who are aligned with the same thing that you're trying to do, a community of teachers, a community of nurses or healthcare workers or whatever the case may be, because there's some things that may be difficult that irritate me about content creation that a teacher is not going to know about, and vice versa, because you have to find like-minded people, not just in the faith, but in your field as well, because they're gonna know what triggers you. They're gonna know how to motivate you best. And I'm telling you this as a reminder of my own testimony, that I have found people who are eager, who are hungry, who have that same type of hunger, who are trying to strive for better for themselves, for their future family and their situation. And that's Black excellence, because it motivates a Black young lady. And the most important part about Black excellence is if it is impacting other Black people. Are you doing something that's uplifting the Black people? Are you doing something that's motivating other Black creators? Are you doing something that's pushing Black people to higher heights? You feel me? So if you're a minister, if you're a pastor, if you're a content creator, if you're a teacher, if you're a plumber, whatever the heck it may be, obviously I'm being a little OD with my examples, but you follow, okay? Carry on with the show and just follow. But the increase that you will have, because you got to sometimes lead by example. There's still been a lot of first Black person to do this, or first Black woman, or first Black man to do X, Y, Z, ABC. And honestly, quite frankly, I'm tired of hearing that, because it's 2025 and we're still talking about the first Black person to do something. That's insane. But that's the world we live in. And because we live in that world, we have to stay together and have a strong community, because we understand each other's struggle the most. And we have to look at each other as examples. And the only way, the best way, the clearest way, and the purest way to lead somebody is with the word of God, the pure heart from God, and leaning into God for him to guide us. I've already had an idea of talking about Black excellence, but I think clearly just being on my friend's podcast and honestly just the wrap up of February in general. I mean, I was on the 20 somethings podcast, which stay tuned. I'll link it in the description below as well. You know, just being on those different shows, it just really impacted me and my vision of what Black excellence is. And I was going to talk about how we should strive for that. But then I realized, I'm like, we're already operating in that. And that's such a beautiful thing, because we are making things work. We are making things shake, and we are pushing. And it feels so much better when you don't have to feel like you have to push alone. You don't have to feel like you're trying to achieve all these things alone, when in reality, there's other people who are also trying to work 10 times harder in this same area, in this same field. And when you can come together, man, do y'all hear me? We can, and once we're able to come together, and also, as the word of God says, and I'm gonna read it off of my phone really quickly, because I didn't want to paraphrase this. I wanted y'all to hear the exact word, but it's Matthew chapter 18, verse 19. And it reads, I also tell you this, if two of you agree here on earth concerning anything you ask, my Father in heaven will do it for you. But I take that in the same context, that if two or more people are gathered and they're trying to reach higher heights, specifically in this example of content creation, and they're believers in the same God, the one and truly only God, unstoppable, literally unstoppable. And again, y'all, and these are the keys to Black excellence, because it's achievable and it's already done. You know, greater is already coming. Those prayers are already answered. That job is already coming. The money, the financial stability is already coming. But you need to remain in God and remain in your community and help one another. That's why church is good. That's why church is important, because that we're not meant to be doing all this alone. We need accountability partners. We need that iron to sharpen us, and we need to be that iron to sharpen others. We can't always rely on someone to be better than us to teach us. What are you doing to someone else? Are you passing the baton? All of these things fall in line of Black excellence. And I'm just so amped up and so hyped, because I see the greater things that are coming. And I just get so excited, because who knows where God is going to take us, where God is going to take me, where God is going to take the show. But at the very end of the day, I'm thankful for the opportunity to experience Black history and Black excellence with my fellow Black creators. And that's just the way I see it, y'all. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Zhan's Online Podcast. I'm your lovely host again, Zhan VA, and I talk all things the way I see it. Thank you for all of my little angels who watch on any other podcasting platform. Thank you so much. If you subscribe to YouTube, make sure again, you click that link below and subscribe to Zhan's Online. And also Zhan's Online Vlogs. All right, that'll help your sister grow out a lot. I pray that you all get some peaceful rest, and you get snuggled up, and you can just relax, and you can prepare for tomorrow, the next day. And again, if you ever feel a time in this world where you feel alone, you feel unheard or misunderstood, never ever forget that I love you. Who am I? Maybe no one of importance, but what's important is that God loves you. He sees you. He hears you. And I'll see y'all next week on Bedtime Talks with Zhan.